This ecosystem is unregulated. Debt-fueled crypto ecosystem is going to finally implode, and it will. What remains will be the assets that are built for real utility and institutional integration. That's when XRP's true purpose is going to be revealed for what it truly is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Black Swan Capitalist podcast. We have a lot to talk about. So this is part 2 for the first discussion we had, and I'm going to try to break this down even further and help you understand what I'm trying to explain here. First of all, when we discuss the potential alignment of gold and XRP, imagine a world where 1 ounce of gold can equate to a defined amount of XRP. We're not just talking about price parity. We're talking about a revolutionary convergence, which I really believe is in play right now. And many people still don't see this, but the merger of physical, tangible assets and digital collateral under a unified programmable settlement framework. I don't think this is a theory. This is calculated speculation. Look around you, it's very clear. This is indeed the blueprint for how the next global monetary reset is going to play out. It's happening very quietly and decisively, as we explained before. And that ties us back into the reclassification of gold as a tier 1 asset class. Now, gold is very important. It's been a universal anchor for wealth for over a millennia. It's a store of value that transcends borders and even politics. XRP, by contrast, was engineered from the ground up to be a bridge asset, a digital liquidity layer that was capable of instantly settling value across any currency, any commodity, or any other digital asset. So that alone means it's very strategic, very powerful technology. And when you start to bridge the two, together they form a hybrid financial architecture that could redefine how global value flows around the world. And we can bridge this into the whole tokenization aspect of the conversation and price equivalence, turning gold into a digital asset, pretty much how information moves. So imagine each ounce of gold is vaulted, audited, and fully tokenized. And it's very interesting because the big centralized institutions and financial institutions are all buying gold. For what reason? We're going to break this down. So let's call this digital representation XAUG. So XRP gold, basically. So every XAUG token is going to correspond to a real physical ounce of gold that's held in a secure, insured vault, like a central bank, interestingly. So you're going to have third-party auditors that continuously verify the holdings, and the result is absolute transparency for a new world order or a new monetary system. Now contrast this framework I just described with the XRP ledger, and you could use smart contracts, smart contract logic via hooks, or federated sidechains or interoperable bridges. And the ledger can maintain a real-time parity between the XRP and the gold, the physical gold. Well, that's why they reclassified gold, because it is now collateral in the monetary system. So the system can enforce balance. It can make every transaction auditable and fair. Now, how do you confirm this? Well, you need a validator and verification mechanism, and that becomes the backbone of trustless collateral. Now think about this. This is what blockchain is all about. Gold, it moves around globally. We know it's slow, it's expensive, it's very opaque in a digital modern ecosystem. Now, XRP provides that dynamic layer, but this works only if the blockchain can truly reflect the reality. And I think that's where the validators and the IoT-enabled custodian networks can enter the equation here. So each gold movement, every deposit, every withdrawal, every transfer is automatically updated on-chain. That means validators confirm not only the transaction, but the physical gold that exists and is correctly represented and reflecting the value of that. So that essentially creates a trustless verification system on its own without anyone having to monitor this. So that means every XAUG token is going to be always backed, and every transaction will always be traceable, and every conversion would be instantaneously reconciled. That means no bank ledger can match this kind of transparency. No fiat system in the world can even settle value this fast. And that's essentially what real-time global collateralization looks like. So when you start to look now at XRP itself as a universal bridge, this is essentially where liquidity meets the physical world. And I've always said this, XRP's role isn't really to replace gold, it's going to make gold move like money. And if you look at gold, gold is illiquid right now because it's not, you can't move it around easily. And that means it can't be instantaneously transferred across borders without some sort of intermediary. Well, that's what tokenized gold is about. I'm not saying tokenized gold is a good thing. In fact, it takes away some of the freedom of people who want to own physical gold. But tokenized gold can solve that problem. But to exchange it globally, you're going to need a bridge currency. And that's where XRP comes into the equation. When an institution or an individual sends tokenized gold anywhere in the world, XRP will act as that conversion layer. That means instantly translating value into any local currency, any stablecoin or other asset class, or even a digital asset, it doesn't really matter. The system executes a cross-border settlement in seconds while maintaining gold's backing, and that's what I think RippleNet is doing with their on-demand liquidity because they can achieve that with fiat today. So XRP will enable this model for a tokenized commodity-backed system tomorrow. I think the real challenge in this ecosystem is building that unified collateral framework where digital meets physical. The real breakthrough, though, is going to be gold and XRP under an interoperable tokenized framework that creates a hybrid collateral model where both hold value independently. Gold as the reserve asset class, XRP as the settlement medium, and they can interact seamlessly together. I think if you look at this even closer, a typical global transaction would work like this. Let's say you're holding XAUG in your digital wallet, that's XRP gold. You need to send that value internationally now. The ledger will confirm the gold backing, XRP will bridge the transaction across a border, liquidity pools will convert the recipient's preferred form, and then the gold balance in your wallet updates instantly. That's trustless, that's transparent, and it's instantly. This model doesn't just move gold, it actually makes gold programmable. It means institutions, globally, central banks, and investors together can leverage gold's intrinsic stability while enjoying the digital liquidity that it offers. It's a convergence of centuries of old value and modern technology. And I think the macro implications for all of this is the reset mechanisms that economists have been talking about for many years now and have been waiting for. So take a step back, consider the implications of a hybrid gold XRP system that could serve as the backbone of a post-dollar world. Gold anchors the trust and the intrinsic value. XRP provides the instantaneous settlement rails, and together you have a system that forms an asset-backed global standard that's transparent, incorruptible, sovereign, and programmable. Now, I know this is my take on it and my view, and it's always been the same. I haven't changed my story for 7 years on this right now. I've been trying to understand it better, but the more research I do, the more clear it becomes that this is the kind of architecture for a real monetary reset. You're looking for a world where value can be stored in gold as collateral, but moved in XRP and settle across currencies instantly. This is the kind of world where traditional currencies had fiat dominance, and the systemic risk that it carries would be dramatically reduced when you look at our debt-based system. This is how you could stabilize global markets while ushering in the next era of digital finance. So when people ask me whether XRP could ever be linked to gold, I think they're asking the wrong question. It's not really about backing, it's more about bridging these two worlds together. The future, I don't think, is going to be gold versus XRP, and I'm not saying it's digital gold, but I call it digital gold because when you look at this from a different lens, it becomes very clear that XRP can function like physical gold through bridging it. So it's gold and XRP having a synchronized value mechanism through blockchain consensus. That is how you finally balance global value. That is how you finally reset the system. Now, I do have a final message for the critics. I'm getting a lot of critics here, and for those attacking XRP without even understanding how markets actually work, you have to take a step back if you're listening. Everything in the system is coupled to the debt market. That's why the XRP price is heavily manipulated alongside other altcoins and other digital currencies and other markets in general, because liquidity flows from debt. The stock market, crypto, gold, bonds, all of it, they all breathe in synchronized fashion with the same liquidity cycles that are driven by monetary expansions and monetary contractions. Right now, XRP moves with Bitcoin because Bitcoin itself is tethered to that same corrupt, speculative debt cycle. And Bitcoin pumps when liquidity is cheap, and it dumps when liquidity begins to tighten. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not freedom. That's just another reflection of the same old damn system. And nobody sees that. And nobody's reporting this either from the Bitcoin ecosystem or even from the XRP community. But that's exactly why regulation, clarity, and the infrastructure matter most. Because when this ecosystem is unregulated, debt-fueled crypto ecosystem is going to finally implode, and it will. I think there's a time and place for that. But what remains will be the assets that are built for real utility and institutional integration. I've always said this, there's a place and time for XRP. XRP was engineered for that kind of world I just described. It's not here to follow the speculation, it's here to replace a settlement friction with efficiency. So yes, today XRP is coupled to Bitcoin, but tomorrow or one day it's going to decouple. And it's not going to decouple because of hype. It's going to happen because of the functionality that it provides, the strategic use case and purpose of this asset. When liquidity dries up and the market finally resets, utility is going to become the only form of sustainable value in this ecosystem. Mark my words, when the dust settles, it's not going to be the meme coins or the speculative assets like Cardano and Solana that are left standing. In my opinion, it's going to be the rails, it's going to be the bridges, and it's going to be the infrastructure that will drive the next financial system. The infrastructure that the next financial system is currently being built upon. That's when XRP's true purpose is going to be revealed for what it truly is. And it's going to be the backbone of real liquidity in a post-debt world. That's how this is going to play out, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any other questions, you can always book a session with us at blackswancapitalist.io, or you can follow me on Patreon for more macro insights into how this is all playing out. Thank you.